I'm KVEW-TV.
And I'm Mike Gonzalez in for Mark Curtis tonight. The search continues tonight for two missing Valley boys. Police believe they may be with their father, who is accused of killing their pregnant mother. 8-year-old Victor Coronado Nunez and 5-year-old Jonathan Coronado Nunez have been missing since Saturday. Their 24-year-old mother, Aurelia Nunez, and her roommate, Omar Gonzalez, were found shot to death Saturday morning. Investigators issuing a warrant for the boys' father, Dimas Coronado.
Hey, good evening, Mark and Caribe. Like you said, these things escalate out of control so quickly because police officers simply don't know what's going to happen when they show up to one of these domestic violence calls. In this particular incident, it sounds like this guy did not want to comply, and that's when the gun battle ensued. I'm going to step out of the way. Let's show you what's going on. It's still a really active scene out here. The crisis response team just showed up. I'd say there's a dozen or so police officers still on the scene. And guys, I've been out to a lot of incidents over my 20-year career, and I can tell you, I've spoken to several folks in this neighborhood, and they seem extra shaken up by this.
Yeah, this story has sparked outrage in the community and grabbed international headlines. Now, a former co-worker is coming forward to 12 News with new details about Nathan Sutherland. The 36-year-old was arrested yesterday after investigators matched his DNA to the baby who was born at the facility just under a month ago.
Hey, good evening, guys. Yeah, just got this brand new information, and this from Coconina County. They just declared a state of emergency, and what they're telling us, the declaration allows the county manager additional flexibility to deploy resources, obviously with all the snow up there. Also, we just got this in as well. A third shelter has been opened at Payson High School. That's at 301 South McLean. That's in addition to the shelters at Kingman Community Center as well as Pine Community Center, so be aware of that. I want to show you this video, guys, here in the Phoenix Metro. This is at 35th Avenue in Van Buren. A roof blown right off the top of the house because, as we know, the weather here in the Phoenix Metro has been pretty nasty. But I can tell you what, Paul, there is no golfing that's going to happen today. We basically did a square around here. We went up Miller, we went up Hayden, Thomas, Indian School, and we looked around the golf course, and it's unbelievable how flooded this thing is. I spoke to the superintendent. His name is Javier. He said golfing probably not going to happen until Monday out here, till it all recedes. So we're on Osborne right now.
As we wait to hear Sutherland's plea in court, we learn more about who he was at work.
And Team 12's Jessica DeNova has more from a former wintertime. You can cool off better that way.
That's why I like this time of year. All right, you should see me in the
you
summer.
You and my husband.
It's ugly in the summer. All right, if you missed the answer to our juicy question.
Good evening, everyone. I'm KVEW-TV.
And I'm Mike Gonzalez. Mark is on assignment tonight, and we have to warn you folks, the police body cam video that we're about to show you is really hard to watch. Just minutes ago, Team 12's William Pitts was shown additional body camera video. He's following this developing story for us tonight. Will? All right, that was awesome stuff. You look like you were having so much fun.
My turkey impression.
That was classic. And you said the Kiss guys were great.
They were so good.
They look like the middle-aged Kiss.
Yes.
You know, the guy? Got a little bit.
They were rocking.
This guy comes right towards him, and I think at the time Nick described it as being confused, and he stood his ground, essentially, is what he said. But the perception of him standing his ground made it look like he was being insensitive.
Defiant.
And then you had all these other things going on. But we talked about it, Mark. Where were the chaperones? They should have dragged Nick out of there right away. I want to talk a little bit about the parking issues out here. There's really not an official parking mantra that's been released. So if you want to come out, make sure you come out early. Also, like Jimmy mentioned, it's going to be 104 degrees today. So bring your umbrellas, bring a lot of water because it's going to obviously be hot. There's going to be thousands of people out here who want to pay their respects. We'll be out here covering the entire process live. We're going to send it back to you in the studio.
You know, Mike, that's a good point. I didn't think about parking, because that is a tricky place to park and to find places to go. So Uber?
Yeah, that would be actually a good option, just to let folks know that Jefferson and Adams right in front of the Capitol is closed. So obviously expect it to be a mess. As I said, they haven't really released anything in terms of parking to the media. So essentially you're on your own. And if you're familiar with it, I mean, there's a lot of tight streets here. If you've got older folks, you just got to be careful.
And you don't see any lines yet.
Well, now to a story you'll only see on 12 News. Tonight, we're taking you inside the ER at Maricopa Medical Center, which is one of the busiest in the state.
You're getting an up-close look at what doctors and those in training go through when lives are on the line and just seconds matter.
Team 12's Mike Gonzalez joins us live here in Studio 12A with his firsthand account of his 2 nights with the doctors in the ER. Mike?
Good evening, Mark and Caribe. Well, guys, life inside the ER can go from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds. And for residents, it can be even more stressful because not only are you trying to save lives, you're learning how to practice emergency medicine all at the same time. The sounds.
Did you get hit in the mouth?
The seriousness. And moving parts. This is Maricopa Medical Center.
Habla español?
One of the busiest emergency rooms in the valley.
How are you feeling?
Doctors here deal with anything you can imagine.
So he stopped eating 24 days ago.
To people coming off of mind-altering drugs.
Well, they got me in a mental crazy house. They think I'm crazy, but I'm really not. It was just methamphetamines, though.
Can you pull up the stuff for bed 2?
For resident doctors like Aaron Johnson, there's no other place they'd rather be.
Well, yeah, it's a high-stress job.
It's a place where Dr. Johnson and 41 other young residents spend 3 years after med school learning to save lives. How close do you become, because you're working with these 41 other people?
Oh, you get really close.
It wasn't long before we had to cut this interview short and see Dr. Johnson in action. He was called to the ER for a patient who was having trouble breathing, needing life-saving intervention fast.
If he's becoming altered, I don't think it's a good candidate for BiPAP. We should probably just intubate him. Sir, are you with us? Yes. Yeah, DL with a glide for backup, please.
After an intense 10 minutes,
No, now we got color change.
this patient finally stabilizes.
He wasn't responding to questions appropriately, and that's when we had to intubate him for airway protection.
At the same time, adding to the stress inside the ER, a crash victim screams in pain inside the same room. The only thing certain, every night is going to be different.
Without them, we'd be beat up all the time.
¿La espalda? ¿El pecho o no?
The patients here, some of the most in need and underserved.
All right, we're gonna make her a trauma, okay? All right, cool.
Dr. Frank Lavecchio is one of the attending doctors. He's a veteran of the emergency department wars. Training these young physicians is a real balancing act.
So I'm right by his side, so I'm not too far away.
Any surgeries?
For some, Maricopa Medical is their only source of health care. Those without the money or insurance come here for everything.
It's a combination of health education, health literacy, being able to afford your medications, being able to physically get to the doctor's appointments that you're supposed to have. If I refer you to a specialist, but you don't have a car, and it's 10 miles away, what are you going to do?
He has a bunch of abscesses on his anterior thighs.
In the meantime, Dr. Johnson's residency will conclude in just a few months.
I love my job. Would you put a MICU consult in for bed 2?
But for now, his own life plans are on hold.
Yes.
As he continues to save others.
Really fascinating.
It really was invigorating and nerve-wracking all at the same time to be as close as I am to you to life-saving measures by folks that are between the age of 28 to as old as 39 was the oldest resident. So
You said
incredible.
you had quite a bit of anxiety.
Oh, I was
shooting
anxious in there, and I think the level of competency, guys, was so incredible to me. Competency and calmness.
Right.
And I kept asking them, how do you guys remain so calm? They said it is an essential part because if not, things will fall apart so quickly, Mike. We have to stay calm. Wow. That is the most essential part of this job.
Incredible, and man, incredible access too.
And I'm producing a little bit of a mini documentary that I'll put on my Facebook page and 12news.com. There's just so much great footage that people will want to see.
All right, Mike, thanks.
You got it.
Well, here's a live.
Welcome back to 12 News at 10. I'm Mike Gonzalez. Thanks for sticking around. Well, great story right here. Chef Marcus Bryant just happens to be deaf. He's known as the Deaf Chef for good reason, because this guy can really cook. I caught up with him recently to talk about his inspiring story. For Chef Marcus Bryant, the world can be a quiet place, but what his world lacks in sound, he makes up with taste. I caught up with the man dubbed as the Deaf Chef outside of Lock Heel Brewing in Mesa
where Marcus was cooking up some amazing tacos as part of his catering company, Tacolicious. With his son Jermaine by his side, who's a junior at Red Mountain High School in Mesa, the pair cooked up carne asada tacos, cinnamon apple pie tacos, and avocado shrimp tacos. Marcus says his dad is an inspiration to him and everyone that he meets.
Very proud of his, his enthusiastic, I don't know, he's just very determined on getting to where he wants. He's always talked about having his own business and selling his own food, it's just, I don't know. I always believed in him, and I'm glad to see that he's come so far.
From as early as he can remember, Jermaine says his dad has always loved to cook, and he's been really good at it. Marcus has worked in California and Arizona as both a line cook all the way up to head chef. Jermaine says growing up with a deaf dad really wasn't all that strange, and sign language is something that he's always known.
I was mostly an interpreter for my dad and my mom, growing up, always, explaining, talking with other people, trying to get them to communicate through, me, obviously, but that was probably one of the biggest challenges. Not really other.
Marcus's latest endeavor, Tacolicious, is a catering company that focuses on Mexican food. Lock Hill Brewery owner Ian Cameron, who's hard of hearing himself, was excited to work with Marcus and take a bite of his work. It's something I had to try out for myself.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that taco was so good, but what's even better is seeing the close bond that a father and son have for one another.
Like my mentor, I think he's my idol. I look up to him for a lot of things. I try to look up to him whenever I'm in a situation. And when I look into my future, what I see, I'm pretty much seeing me just working hard.
Marcus, how much do you love this kid?
I love him so much.
Marcus says he's determined to make his catering business a success, one carne asada taco at a time. As for Jermaine, he says he knows his dad's going to make it and has some advice for anyone reaching for the stars.
Don't let the minor setbacks or the big setbacks stop you from doing what you want. Because my dad's hard of hearing, and people are like, oh, well, he can't do a lot of things that hearing people can, but he's running his own business, he's making his own food. It's crazy. So honestly, don't make excuses for not making your own goals.
If you'd like to learn more about Marcus Bryant, the deaf chef, just go to my Facebook page. All you have to do is search Mike Gonzalez 12 News.